Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me again, Chelsea, and for the first time in a very long time, welcome to a sit down video. I have just been consistently posting vlogs recently. I've tried to reorganise my space a little bit. I'm trying to get back up here and film proper content for you guys. Not the vlogs aren't proper content, but like where I actually give you more thoughts, feelings and, you know, ideas about what I'm reading or what's on my radar. So I have got a haul here, as you would have seen from the title and the thumbnail, I'm sure, of over 50 books from technically the end of last year. So some are Christmas presents until pretty much now. And we are filming this in May, just so you get an idea. I do have a FairyLoot book that I'm going to unbox with you guys as well, because what better time to do it than now. But yeah, I a little bit overwhelmed now. Now that I've made all of my piles of books and stuff. Obviously the biggest pile is books that I've bought myself. I have also got some subscription box books here, which, if you did not know, as of right now I have cancelled my Illumicrate and my Locked library, so I no longer get them. I'm still subscribed to FairyLoot because the book that's come in, I think this is May's book that I'm going to unbox with you guys, is one that I was interested in, and I'm interested in the one for June, and then from there on I'm not too sure what I'm going to do, whether I'm going to cancel it or not. So if you guys have any good recommendations actually for book boxes, fantasy sci-fi book boxes that you think do some really great work, please let me know down in the comments, because I love getting subscription boxes. I love getting that little happiness through the post. However, I feel like my Illumicrate, my FairyLoot, my Lot libraries, they're all going the fantasy romance route a lot more these days than they have previously in the past, which is why I have cancelled, because I'm reading these books, or I'm looking at these books' descriptions, and I'm like, not interested. So that's why I am sorting out what I'm doing with them. So now I've just blabbered on about that, I might as well just start with the subscription box books and show you what I've got. Right, if I remember where I got them, as in which box, I'll let you know. Don't count on that though. I definitely cannot tell you what month they are. And I have not read any of these, so the descriptions will probably be not really there. I'm just going to put it out there now. If I read the back of every single book that I have got here, we would never leave. This video would be so long. So I'm going to not do that. I am going to tell you about the book if I know about the book. And if I don't, we're just going to hold it and appreciate the pretty editions that I own. Okay? It's that sort of video. I would also like to point out that I may have missed a book or two in this haul, because sometimes it can be quite tricky. I do my best to track every single book that I buy, receive, get from subscription boxes and stuff, like in general. But I still am a human. I am prone to human error. So there may be a book or two missing. As of right now, I don't know what they are, but there may be. So I unbox every single book on my vlogs though, so it will have definitely should have been a vlog. So I'm just gonna apologise beforehand, and we're gonna go from there. Right, so subscription boxes. We have got To Cage a God by Elizabeth May. To cage a god is divine, to be divine is to rule is to destroy. I can't remember if this is like a... Oh, it's a Daphne Press, so this was an Illumicrate from one of the months. It's very pretty. I don't really know. She's got gods in her bones or something, and then she has to infiltrate the palace, which sounds very much like many things. But this artwork, I just want to point out, like, this just reminds me, like, Glinda from Wicked. That is the vibe I get from this. Whether that's actually true or not, I've got no idea. But yeah, I think is it twins or sisters or something, I'm not sure. So yeah, there you go, there's book one. Off to a flying start. I already have no idea no idea what we've got where. This was definitely a locked library, I think. Compass and Blade, yes it definitely was, because it's a Harper one. So this is a YA debut, feast for fantasy lovers and dreamers alike. The other reason as well that I'm contemplating, well not contemplating, I have cancelled pretty much all of my things, is because a lot of the books now are also YA. And I am, you know, I'm still going to say mid-20s until I get to September, and then I will possibly be classed as late 20s on my 28th birthday. We're not going to talk about that very much, but I don't feel like I'm the chosen demographic for YA books as much anymore, so I don't tend to pick them up. I have found recently, and I'll probably talk about it again, YA thriller mysteries are still fantastic to me. I still really enjoy them. But yeah, so Compass and Blade. Young girl is chosen to swim out and plunder wrecked ships. The waves sing to her soul. She has to set off on a journey for her father's freedom. And that sounds really cool. And then we get the two strangers along the way, and learning who to trust will not be easy. So to me that screams love triangle, and I don't know if that's actually going to be there. Should really read the book to find out, but there we go. And this one is also definitely a locked library. This is my 4th edition of this book. It's Babel by R.F. Kuang, or Babel, or however you want to say it. It's a very pretty edition. They've made it completely naked. There is no dust jacket on this, and it's all completely foiled. And these edges are some of my favourites. But yeah, I own 4 copies of this book. I will not be reading this book because the foiling is already kind of coming off, I've got to be honest. It's doing alright, but it's just not the best, I've got to be honest. If you do not know about Babel, what have you been doing? This came out last year? Is that when it came out? I have got no idea. No, first published in 22, so 2 years ago now, and then this was classed as an archive edition. So the locked library only features books from Harper Voyager, I want to say, and they have released this new thing called the archive, where they're going to make pretty editions of books that they released years ago, and this was the first one that they did, that they included in the subscription box as kind of like a subscribers get first pick, essentially. I really wish they'd chosen anything else than Babel. This book was hyped when it came out. It had 3 editions when it came out. I own all 3 of the editions. There probably were more, but I've got a Waterstones, a FairyLoot and an Illumicrate edition of this book. I think this is hyped enough. The writer is understandably amazing and praised. I myself have read the Poppy War trilogy and I loved it. I started Babel, have not been in the right headspace to continue with Babel, hence not finishing it yet. But yeah, I just really wish that when they said, oh, we're going to do some archive editions, that they actually went back a fair few years, not just 2 years, to one of the most hyped books that I remember since being on BookTube and Bookstagram, and then, you know, gave us a pretty edition of one that wasn't so lucky to get one. So that's my only gripe with that. It's very pretty, do not get me wrong, but was it really the best choice of like an archive edition? No, not in my opinion, it was not. Anyways, next up I've got The Crimson Moth, which is an interesting one. She is a wanted criminal, not to mention a witch, hiding in plain sight. This wouldn't be the first time she walked into a space full of people who hunted her kind. She's done it hundreds of times before without batting an eye, so why was there a tiny seed of fear sprouting inside her? I remember about this. So I think she essentially starts dating like a witch hunter. It's giving me very much Serpent and Dove vibes, because I loved that, so I'm kind of hoping that I enjoy this too. I don't know, but this was a FairyLoot edition. It is very pretty, so I do kind of hope I enjoy it, but we'll see, because again, I'm not really sure anymore, apart from like fantasy. I know I enjoy fantasy, but I'm just trying to like nail down what my chosen genre is and what I'm enjoying at the minute, because reading is kind of all over the place. If you watch my vlogs or anything like that, or if you watch me in general, I'm quite chaotic anyways, but you may have noticed that I'm not actually reading anywhere near the same amount of books at the minute, and my attention span is terrible. My currently reading is over 20 books at the minute, and I keep trying to go through it and culling books that I should have finished by now, and I just haven't. So yeah, that's not going well. Next up we've got What Monstrous Gods. This definitely is this is a Magpie, so this will be a locked library edition. It's very heavily foiled. We love that. 7 girls they had sent and none ever returned. The 8th girl is me. I can't remember what this is. It's a rich romantic reimagining of Sleeping Beauty. That was it. But it says perfect for the fans of These Violent Delights and The Shadow Queen. Now, I've never read The Shadow Queen, but I really enjoyed These Violent Delights until they brought in the ending, and I say that every single time, until they brought in the creature that was causing chaos in that world, part of like Shanghai. I loved it, but then they brought that creature in and I was just like, what the heck is this? Then I've got Fathom Folk by Eliza Chan. I was convinced I had more of her work on my shelves, and I've been proven wrong. It is not who I think it is, which is completely fine. I don't actually know if this author has actually read, they probably have read other things, written anything else. The idea of this is a duology, which is quite cool, so I do want to read this because it says it's perfect for fans of Jade City, Bone Shard Daughter and House of Earth and Blood. I loved the first book, House of Earth and Blood. Again, I'll get into that in a bit. But I love Jade City, and I'm reading the Bone Shard Daughter. It's one of my many currently reading books, and I'm enjoying it. So I'm hoping this is one that I'm going to like, and essentially I think the idea is that there's like the upper city and the lower city, and the lower city is like underwater, and that's where the Fathom Folk live, and they're seen as lesser. Yeah, and the main character is a half siren, so she gets a promotion to the border guard and she wants to help her people, and she's going to have to decide costs and all sorts, because of course they are. What is the point of the book? So this actually does sound really, really good, and I am really looking forward to giving this a try. I completely forgot what this was about. Also, these edges are just like stunning. So yeah, maybe that'll move up my TBR now. This is a FairyLoot one. This is A Tempest of Tea, sorry, by Hafsa Faisal. I am unsure about what they did with this. I like the tea kettle because if you weren't aware from the title, there's going to be some form of tea involved. And I like the little cup. I don't know if it'll focus, but that's like a little cup. And it's got like smoke in it and it's like steam, right? But oh, the thing that bugged me, that's what bugged me about this book, they've done no description on it at all. There is no wording on this edition anywhere. So, you know, usually you have a bit about the author here. Nope, not there. I don't know if that probably is in the back of the book, gotta be honest. Yeah, there's an about the author there, but like there's no photo, and I like when they do that. But there is literally no description on this book. It drives me insane. Why would you take that off? I like the foiling, do not get me wrong. It's very pretty foiling of a gun, but I would have preferred to have the blurb. Maybe I'm on my own on that. Maybe I am. And I'm cool to like stand on that hill by myself, but... So this is set in the 1920s London, but obviously reimagined because there's vampires. I don't believe there were vampires running around in the 1920s, but I wasn't there, so I can't say. And then our main character runs a tea shop, and essentially they have to, you know, undergo a heist or, yeah, make a heist happen. This is on my Reddit bingo, our fantasy bingo list, because it has a heist in it. And also, I really do want to go through and read my subscription box books and see if, kind of going back to, because I've got many of these things from years, because I've been collecting them since 2020 when I kind of got involved in the book community, and I want to see if there is a big change in the books that were given out in those boxes, and to see if it was me that has changed, which is fine. I'm cool with like changing and growing and all those cool things, or if they just have really heavily lent into the whole like fantasy romance thing, because that seems to be like a hit buzzword at the minute, but each of their own. And then finally, before we open the other FairyLoot, I've got Voyage of the Damned. I want to say this was an Illumicrate edition. Yes, it was. This one sounds more up my street. This is 12 Magical Blessings, 12 Days at Sea, One Chance to Stop a Killer and Save the World. So I feel like this could be one that I really enjoyed. Now, this is why I wanted to keep Illumicrate, because I feel as though, looking at all the books I've had in the past and what has been coming out, I felt as though Illumicrate were the book box that I was like, yes, I can understand, like, there's a blip every now and again, but they gave us, like, The Empire of the Vampire. What other editions did they give me? I loved the Babel one, anyways. But they did a really good mix of, like, adult and YA, fantasy. There's, like, every year, the December book is a sci-fi book, for whatever reason. I don't know why. That's been a trend for the past couple of years that I've noticed. And then, like, a smidge of romance and stuff, but they've all been, like, up my street, or, like, something I'm interested in. Now, I've looked at the predictions for the rest of the year, and I'm like, I don't want any of them, which is sad. But this one sounds like probably the most me one there possibly is, which is something to say. Here is FairyLoot. We're gonna open this now, because I want to. Also, my neighbour had this for, like, 2 days, because when I noticed that they were home the other day, I was like, oh, it's a bit late, I don't want to knock. And then my neighbour was very baffled when I came to his door yesterday to be like, I think you've got a parcel for me. Oh yay, it's on the top. So the theme, which I'm going to cover because I'm pretty sure I know what this is, the theme for this book only is Scholarly Secrets. I was about to say the name of the book then. It is definitely the one that I thought it was. I like that FairyLoot still send their books in the bags. Illumicrate stopped. I know it had something to do with, you know, the environment or something. But they now send them in, like, bubble mailers, which, is that really better? Okay, this feels very much similar to Tempest of Tea, but ta-da! They've changed this a lot. This is The Temptation of Magic by Megan Scott. I think the original cover is like white and black, almost similar to like The Sun and the Void, if you remember that, like white and black split up. I love that though, look at that. Like, I don't know if this will pick up because it's obviously like very much under a very bright light, but it's like an old schooly book. Old schooly book. You know when you go and you find, I don't know what, I vaguely know what I mean. And then look at those edges. Who'd have thought that it was FairyLoot that I would be continuing with at the minute? Not I. Oh, we've got reverse dust jacket. That's cool. We've got foiling. I love foiling. FairyLoot are they're just amazing. Look at that. I don't know how well that picks up again with like all of the light that's going on. And then we've got the spine. And then all of the stamps on the back, which are very cool. I have no idea if this is like a standalone or what. I'll show you the dust jacket in a second, but I also caught a glimpse of this. All of this gold is foiled, like it picks up on camera so beautifully. Look at that. That is so nice. And then the other side is the boy. So obviously there will be a romance element, because when is there not? But, like I said, this was one that actually sounded up my street. Oh, it's an alternative cover. Look at that. This one also... See, this is what they should have done, right? For the Temptation... what am I on about? A Tempest of Tea. They have the original with the author bit and the description, and then the alternative dust jacket has nothing. Because you already have it on the book. Well, that's very cool. I don't think I'd be reversing it. I prefer the one that they have. Wow, I've gone very pale. The one that they have put on the front of the book, I prefer. So let's actually read the description of this one, because, you know, we need to know what this one's about, because I've just freshly opened it. So this says, an Empyreal, I really hope I'm saying that right. Nicole has the ability to kill any deadly supernatural, but if her power ever awakened the Wake, the organisation that governs supernaturals, would force her to be their loyal huntress, or kill her like they did her mother. It's a nice start, it's very Disney, isn't it? To stay safe, Nicole hides in a small university town, convinced the mythological art collection at a local manor contains a final message from her mother. But before she can study it, Kyan McCarter, the Wake's most skilled Imperial, arrives on his own hunt. When Nicole and Kyan discover that Kyan's prey has stolen a painting for leverage, they're forced to work together. As the creature threatens to expose Nicole's powers, her tenuous alliance with Kian threatens her heart. If her true identity is revealed, Kian will hunt her next. No one disobeys the wake and survives, especially when the art they're seeking unveils a conspiracy that would change the lives of creatures and humans forever. But Nicole may only be able to resist one, her wicked impulses or a love that could repaint her world. And after a life of hiding her true nature, who could resist the temptation of magic? A luxurious, forbidden romance that will become your new obsession. I truly hope so. I'm not a big romance reader, I say this all the time, but I really, really hope so, because I do... the rest of it sounds great. I just don't think I'm a very soppy person. And if you are Lisa, who I do a lot of things with, she will know that I'm not an overly soppy person. Right, from there, I'm going, now that I've mentioned Lisa, I'm going to go on to some of the books that I have been very kindly sent in collaboration with the little company that we have started called Indie Book Tours. Now, if you don't know what Indie Book Tours is, we are a book tour company focused on indie, obviously, indie book tours, and we do cover reveals and 3 and 5 day book tours. We have a fantastic group of reviewers already. We're doing, like, when we originally were talking about this idea and Lisa approached me with the idea, because it was her idea, we couldn't have dreamed, I don't think, of being where we are already in 6 months. Since well, it hasn't even been 6 months since we started. We started in January. We have got some fantastic reviewers who review our books fantastically. We've worked with some amazing authors, which I also love, and they are so fantastic. So they not only do we get physical editions, there are also ebooks. It completely depends on the author and what they are able to send out. If you can hear that dog, I'm so sorry. And she'll start shouting for him soon, which is also equally annoying. But these are the physicals that I've got. I believe, actually, looking at this pile, I am missing one, which is Searching for Zen by Albert T. Franklin. I will put a picture here for you. I actually did a post about this on my Instagram, so if you want to know more about it, links down below, check it out. But a shameless self-promo there. So the first one I've got is actually Exile by AJ Calvin. This has got a dragon on it, so what else can I say really about this? Our main character is called Andrew. He grew up in the royal palace. He is the eldest son of the queen. He has a questionable lineage, which no one truly knows. And I believe if anyone did find out, then he would be in a world of hurt. And the world that this is based in is also equally hostile to anyone that bears a mark, which means you can wield magic. And Andrew's younger brother actually bears this mark. And the brothers have been keeping each other's secrets until the king unexpectedly dies and Colin has to ascend to the throne. And then when Andrew's younger brother's mark is publicly displayed, Andrew has to obviously decide whether he wants to watch his younger brother be killed or whether he wants to show his true abilities. So this sounds really, really good. All of these books sound very good. So next up, I've actually got The Fall of the Giants by Gregory Contaxis, which is the sequel to The Return of the Knights. I think it's got an S on the end. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. This is a sequel. I can't tell you a lot about this because obviously, one, I haven't actually read the first book yet. I've very kindly been sent both. The Return I got sent last year, I want to say, and obviously this one I got sent because we did it for Indie Book Tours. Look at these covers though. These are just fantastic. I cannot wait to dive into this series and give it a really good go and obviously give it the time that it deserves. I don't know how many books are actually coming in this series, so I'm looking forward to getting to that. Then I have got Blood Rain, Hateful Tales 1 by Ezra Payne. Now I know Lisa has already read this and she loved it, so I am so excited to get to this. I've just, unfortunately, like I've been saying all the time, I've been in this horrible like funk with reading and I've not enjoyed it. Reading, that is, not this book, and so I haven't really picked up very many things. So again, look at this cover. Can we just like have a moment for these indie covers? They are stunning. Like, absolutely stunning. And this one is A Tale of Undying Grudges. Noxilus and her allies attempt to reunite two estranged races while opposed by forces both mortal and divine. So it sounds really, really cool. Looking forward to it. Again, I don't know how many books are coming in this series, so we will just have to keep an eye out. But because it's got high praise from Lisa, I've got high expectations. Now let's move on to books I have been sent to review, but not as part of indie book tours. Next up, so a book I've been sent recently, this is my most recent one actually that I received, is Demon Tears by R.E. Sanders. They reached out and asked if I wanted an arc of their copy, which is coming out in a month, I think. No prophecies, no destiny, the new hero of our time shall choose themselves. As always, we've got a country that is divided, we've got war which is threatening on every border, crime infests the country. All of these are like really cool buzzwords for me. Love this, looking forward to it. And it sounds like they go on a quest to find a blood red ruby, and glory and riches await the victor, and for the losers the only prize will be death. Dun, dun, dun. So it sounds really, really cool. So I'm looking forward to giving that a try. I'm pretty sure majority of these books now that are in this stack of books that I have been gifted to review, well, not majority of them. The next three I'm going to talk about are all from the lovely Angry Robot. So Caroline and Amy, if you're watching, thank you so much. I'm currently waiting on one more, which is The Last Shield by Cameron Johnson, and I am anxiously awaiting that book. Anxiously. It is one of my most anticipated books this year, along with The Blood Dim Tide by Stephen Orion, which is the sequel to The Judas Blossom, which I also need, but I don't have that yet. Need to pre-order that. So first up we've got this. Look how stunning this is. I'm pretty sure this is a finished copy. So this is The Branded by Joe Riccioni. I really hope I'm saying that right. Again, book one. A century after a virus decimated the population, Isfolk is divided into two classes: the branded, who are vulnerable to disease, and the pure, who are stronger and immune. Orphan twins Nara and Osha are sequestered in the Citadel, where their unbranded skin entitles them to a generous life of privilege, albeit as precious breeding stock. Nara itches to escape her confines and return to the wilds of the Fawnwood, where she and Osha grew up. But when the sisters are ambushed and kidnapped by wasteland traders, they learn that life outside the safety of the walls is brutal and fraught, and the fraught journey across the wastelands is only the beginning. When Nara discovers she has mysterious powers linked to her uncanny hunting abilities, the sisters have no choice but to accept the help of an untrustworthy brand known only as the Wrangler. As she grows closer to mastering the skill and uncomfortably closer to the Wrangler, she soon discovers her newfound gifts will be the key to their escape and the balance of power in Isfolk. We love someone who survived a pandemic. Because of course we do. Then we've got These Deathless Shores by P.H. Lowe, which is a Peter Pan gender bent retelling, which sounds really cool. So it's a richly told fantasy reimagining of Captain Hook's origin story, woven through with magic, lost innocence, and the indelible power of stories. Jordan dreams of the days when she was a lost boy, flying high with Peter Pan on the addictive power of dust. Now she's 22 and barely hanging on. Honey, aren't we all? The drug she's used to self-medicate her dust withdrawal has stopped working, and she doesn't have much time before the addiction runs its course. Her last days are approaching, and fast. Sounds really ominous, doesn't it? With nothing left to lose, Jordan returns to the island to seek out the dust that will keep her alive. But as she faces the boy who stripped her of the only story she ever loved, she finds that her thirst for revenge is much stronger than she anticipated. From what I remember, having looked into this, it's that Jordan... Yeah, there you go. It's in this, which is a little bit more in depth. Jordan is Jordan is a girl, and she was on the island as a lost boy, so she was masquerading as a boy. But it's when her first period comes that the other boys realise she's not actually one of them, and then gets thrown off the island for being a girl. So that's kind of the start of it. I'm really intrigued to see how we go from her being one of the old lost boys looking for dust to carry on living and becoming Captain Hook, and how that joins in, and whether we also get the story of, you know, the losing of the hand, that really key thing from the old animated version from Disney, which I really enjoyed. So This sounds really cool. I haven't actually told you when either of these books come out. The Branded comes out, I can't tell because apparently I put everything inside out. The Branded releases on the 11th of June, so this is coming up, so I need to read this ASAP. And then this one is the 9th of July, so I've got some time on that one. And then the other Lonely Robot book is my finished edition of Gog Magog by Jeff Noon and Steve Beard. If you did not see, I actually interviewed these authors. It was such a good interview. I'll link it up here for you. Definitely check it out. It was so interesting. Jeff Noon has been in the fantasy writing, well, fantasy sci-fi writing business for many a year, and the way him and Steve just bounce off each other is actually really cool to see and really cool to watch. The interview was really interesting, and we talked about all things, you know, well, we talked about all things Gog Magog, but we also talked about Vert, which is a Jeff Noon book that I reviewed last year, I think, which is a really cool book set in almost like a dystopian Manchester kind of setting, which is really cool. If you haven't read it, definitely check it out. And check this out as well. This is really, really cool. This is following our main character, Katie Mead, who is actually not all that she seems. She is an older character, which I really enjoyed reading from. She is sassy as heck. She is an ex-captain of a ship, but now that she's old and retired, she just drinks. That's what she spends her pension on, is drinking and hard-boiled sweets, essentially. And when she is approached by two strangers, one is a young girl and one is I can't remember what they're called in this world, an artificial being, an artificial being which is bad and wrong, and they're kind of discriminated against in this world. She then decides that she has to go on this journey to take them down the river Nissus. Nisus? I can never say that right. But yeah, it's really interesting, and there's more to Katie than actually meets the eye, which I also greatly enjoyed. So, and Ludluda, I think, is the next one that comes out, and it's releasing, I think, later this year. So definitely keep an eye out for that as well, because that's very, very cool. And then these next two were sent to me by indie authors for review. The first one is Skylark in the Fog by Helena L. Clove. So thank you very much for sending me a copy of your book. This is a sci-fi. When the universe falls to pieces, it doesn't mean your life has to, right? That comes later. We're following a female main character named Jean, and she's fleeing the Union's brainwashed agents. She's forced to take on a shady mission and gets stuck assisting the runaway monarch of a technocrat planet. This just sounds like it's going to be like one thing after another, you know, which I'm really looking forward to getting into. Also, can we just appreciate like how floppy this book is? Like, it's so cool. So yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a go. And then the other one is actually The Forsaken Planet by Brian Wilson. He has just launched book 2, The Son of the Prophet, very, very recently, if I remember rightly. So thank you very much, Brian, for sending me a copy of this as well. And this one is The World is More Than Just a Planet. It's an ancient tribute to the woman who guided it from ruin, a devastation she foresaw arising again. With revelation of a secret prophecy foretelling humanity's demise and Colton's improbable role in preventing it, he embarks alongside a diverse group of friends to the throne's capital, the planet of Vintara. There he faces prejudice from supposed allies, lifelike combat simulations that test him to his core, and the looming threat of a universal war. Only by embracing his true potential can Colton hope to secure the safety he seeks in a universe that views him as nothing more than forsaken. Dun dun dun. And also, these covers, right, indie covers are just so good. I absolutely love them. Then I've got a finished copy from Black Crow PR and Tor, so thank you very much, guys, for sending this my way, by Adrian Tachkovsky. I've read this, I gave this 4 stars. This is a sci-fi where our main character is sent to a Labour planet far from Earth, and he is sent there partially, well, because he's a rebel, but also he's sent to this particular planet because he is a scientist, and the commandant who runs this Labour planet has taken an interest in him. Like, when our main character arrives, the commandant has read his work, he knows who he is, and he's kind of sent on this mission to explore the world. Something's not quite right and he's going to find out what it is. I really enjoyed this. It took a very strange turn that I was not expecting it to take, but either way, I really, really enjoyed it. And then my final 2 review copies. One is this one, which is In the Shadow of Their Dying by Michael R. Fletcher and Anna Smith Spark. This is like a novella, I think. Came out in March. The third best assassin, a second-rate mercenary crew, one terrifying demon. As Sharim crumbles under siege, a mercenary crew hires an assassin to kill the king. For Tash, it's a chance at glory to be the best blade in the dark Sharam has ever known. For Pitt, it's a way to get his cutthroat crew past the Tsari siege and out of this hellhole, maybe even with some gold to their name. For Ian Annar, I hope I'm saying that right, the Bound One, it's a dream of shadows and human blood. Dun dun dun. I got sent this very kindly by Grimdark Magazine, which is so crazy and so cool, so thank you so much for reaching out and offering me a copy of this. It sounds very much up my street. And then my final review copy is Generation Tent by which is based on a true story by JD. This is basically a non-fiction based on obviously the story of JD, who was homeless in 2016. It says on the back, the year is 2016 and the UK is at a crossroads amidst the challenges of the European vote. The upper millennial is plagued by soaring house prices, rising homelessness and austerity. Based on a true story, John Doman finds himself living in a tent in central London and humorously guides us through a generation on the brink of an existential crisis. I am so grateful to be sent this. I think this is a story that I definitely need to read. I was in college in 2016, still living at home with my mum, so obviously a very privileged position. I'm losing my words, I'm so sorry. So I think this will be a very hard-hitting true story, which I'm excited to try, if I'm honest, because it's definitely a story that needs telling. And with that, we are done with 3 of the piles. So we only have gifted books left and books I've bought. So let's try and get through these because I feel like I've been talking for the longest time. I think a lot of these are Christmas presents. The first one is from Kate, my lovely friend who's got a YouTube channel. I'll link her down below. I'll also link Lisa down below because she's in this pile as well. Starlight Jewel by E.L. Lyons. I believe this is now in Spiffbo 9. Spiffbo 9? We're in Spiffbo 10, Charles. Jesus, get with the programme. This is a fantasy. The back of the book is actually an excerpt, so it's not really like a blurb, because I believe I've seen somewhere that the author said that they don't enjoy writing blurbs. But look at this artwork. So this is a fantasy book. And we've got different types of people and characters and all sorts. So I'm looking forward to giving this a try and seeing what the deal is with that. I've also got Bob the Wizard, which this is the new cover that he put out last year, which is so cool. I really like this. Again, this is from Kate. So this is Bob, a chain-smoking, foul-mouthed, shotgun-wielding ex-garbage man. Chases his family's killer, the grey-skinned Galvadon, through the realms of the mysterious Astroverse. The trail leads him to Hub, a world in turmoil, populated by wizards, blue elves, fairies, giants, dragons, and unfortunately plain old humans. Chained by his addictions and haunted by his past, Bob must find a way through this dark magical realm and uncover its secrets, or lose all hope of ending Galvadon once and for all. Once and for all. Oh my gosh. The writing in this is tiny, so it's a little bit terrifying. But this also sounds very cool. I've had this on my radar for a while. This one was from the lovely Lisa, which is Primal Fury. Again, I believe this was my Christmas present from her. Yes, it was. I love this cover. It's got like a big bear on it. I also feel like this is a Spiffbo 10 entrant now. This is about Orson, who wants to become nothing more than a legendary berserker, but to do that he must travel into the wilderness completely alone to battle the abominations that live in the tundra. As Orson delves deeper and deeper into enemy territory, he slowly begins to discover new facets to old dangers, challenges that will threaten not only his life but also his sanity and possibly his very soul. Can he slaughter enough enemies to pass his trial, make it back alive, and become the legendary warrior he knows he can be? Sounds very cool. And then the other 5 books in this pile are from the lovely Tufty. So thank you so much. These first 3 were all books that me and Lisa read at the start of the year for the It's All About Fantasy read along that we host by Rob J. Hayes, and then these are the 2 that carry on in this, kind of carry on with the same character in this, but with some of the characters that we've already met in this first trilogy, but it's a separate duology, and that is Where Loyalties Lie and The Fifth Empire of Man. Thank you so much. They also got a little bit drowned, but I will say Jack didn't believe that I could do it, but I have saved these books. They are flat now, they are not wavy, they have dried out, they are gorgeous. I'm just so proud of them. Right, we're now on to the final pile, which is the biggest pile, which is books I have bought myself. Because I am a big treat me person. I'm really not, but here we go. Anyways, first up, we've got Fatebreaker by Victoria Aveyard. Can't tell you anything about the series. I've not read it. This is the 3rd and final book, but I had to get the matching Waterstone Special Edition one, because of course I did. I've not heard necessarily the best things. I know that this is still YA, and again, it's whether or not I'm going to stick with YA. I have unhauled my FairyLoot editions of book 1 and 2, so that's a step in the right direction. So I only have 1 collection of these books. But yeah, don't know anything about them. Glad to have the completed set on my shelves, but it is what it is. Sunlit Man by Brandon Sanderson. This is the 4th in the special projects, so I pre-ordered all of them because of course I did. Haven't read this. It's a Cosmere book, which means absolutely nothing to me. And can we just say, like, these 2 pages are filled with the books that the man has written, and he's written a lot of books. So many books. So I'm actually looking forward to finally getting into all of the Kickstarter projects, secret projects that he did. I don't own any of the Kickstarter versions because they were way too expensive to ship to the UK, but I have them all from Waterstones, so there we go. I've got Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the sequel to Illuminate. I really enjoyed Illuminate. I have started reading this. This is on my magical TBR, which that finished last month, and I'm still not even 100 pages in. I'm on 98 pages. I will say I'm not jumping into this as much. I miss the other couple that we read about in the first book. This is following a different couple. I believe we go to both couples in the 3rd and final book. Preferred the first couple, have to be honest. Couple in this, the girl is the daughter of the captain of one of these spaceships, and she's a bit of a party girl. She's dating one of the guys that works for her father. And the other character is basically part of a drug cartel. There's nothing wrong with that book. I'm just not vibing with it as much, you know. I've got one of my auto by authors, The House That Horror Built by Christina Henry. I have read 2 of her books, but I buy every single one, especially because they've got sprayed edges and they're signed, because of course I do. This is one that I could potentially wait until October to read, or closer to October if I want to do a spooky reading vlog, which I say every year, and I just buy more of her books, which you can't really see, but they're all here. This is our main character, is a single mum, and she loves horror movies, and when the job comes up to clean like this famous director's house, she jumps at the chance and she goes and cleans his house, and then she hears almost like a human voice saying, "Help me," and he has no family. Don't open the door, but you know she's gonna do it. I'm already terrified, but it is what it is. Then we've got Sarah J. Maas, The House of Flame and Shadow, which I am both anxious and excited to read. I have heard no good things. I loved the first book. I was literally watching Becca's video from Becca and the Books talking about her haul. It's very strange. Every time I'm like, I'm gonna film a haul, I watch like 3 or 4 other content creators come out with them, which is like we're all on the same wavelength, which I love. She said the same thing, and I completely agree with her. The first book I loved. The first book Becca says is her like all-time favourite book. I think it is my favourite Sarah J. Maas book that I've ever read. That is what prompted me to buy Throne of Glass and the ACOTAR series. The second one let me down massively, and I've heard no good things about this one, so I am scared to read it, because I don't want it to let me down. But I'm also putting it off so that I can finish off Throne of Glass, but then I would probably need to read ACOTAR. I feel like it's going to be a very long time until I finally get to catching up with that series, but that's something else entirely. Trials of Empire by Richard Swan. I have only read the first book. I was like, oh, I'm putting off reading the second book until the third book comes out so then I can binge, because The Justice of Kings, which is the first book in this series, was a 5-star for me. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I have not since picked up the sequel. Like, what is wrong with me? I don't know. So this is the third and final book. He's just announced he's got a new trilogy coming out, so I'm very, very excited about that. But I need to finish this one first before he even comes out with that, because of course I do. Feybound by Sarah El Arifi. I did not order this originally. I was like, I'm going to miss this. I don't need this book. Then it sold out of special editions and I was like, oh, damn, I really want that book. And then it came back and I was like, well, I've got to buy it because part of me is already sad that I didn't get it. So I have to buy it, so I had to buy it. So this is her new one. I don't know if it's a series or a standalone. I know it's an LGBTQIA plus romance. I think it's 2 girls. Oh no, it's the first book in a new trilogy. Yay me. It features Fae, because of course it does. And war, so I hope it's for me. I also haven't read The Final Strife or Battle Drum, but I've literally just pressed buy on my Waterstones exclusive special edition of the third and final book in that series because I need the spread edges to match. Honestly, this is why I have to cut down on my book boxes, because the special editions, like carrying on collecting them when I haven't read the first book, is so much harder with those books because they sell out so fast. So fast. And speaking of that, actually, this is Empire of the Damned. This is book 2 in this series. This is Illumicrate. This is Waterstones. Why did they make the Waterstones one red? Like, I thought when I pre-ordered this that they would stick with the black block sprayed edge, because that's what they did for the Nevernight series. That's what they did for the first book in this series. No, now this one is red. What colour is the next one going to be? Pray tell. Winds me up greatly, but these edges are very pretty. I still have not read this one yet either. Loved the first book. First book was 4 stars. Really, really enjoyed it. And then another one that I've got 2 editions of is the Atlas Complex, which is the 3rd book in the Atlas 6 series. I had FairyLoot, Waterstones and Illumicrate. I stopped FairyLoot. I got rid of that after the first one because I was being responsible. I now only have the Waterstones and the Illumicrate ones, and I love this like sparkly thing from the Illumicrate one. And then Waterstones I just had to carry on with. 3rd and final book. First book I have read is like following 6 people who are chosen to join this like secret society where they learn magic and they can basically ask all these questions, and it's very, very cool. They've all got like some magical ability, and then yeah, they enter the school and they don't realise that 6 of them might enter but only 5 can progress to the next level. So then becomes a competition about who's going to progress and who's not. It's very interesting. Leigh Bardugo's The Familiar. I had to buy this, obviously. Have I read Hellbent yet? No. Have I finished the Shadow and Bone trilogy? No. Am I going to finish that trilogy? Probably not, no. But I'm going to keep them on my shelves. This is her first, not her first, she's already done adult with Hellbent. This is her next adult one, where we've got our main character Lucia. I've got no idea if I'm saying that right, and she has a magical gift, and the family that she lives with then realise that she has this magical gift and make her perform, I don't know, miracles or something. I haven't read the book, guys, but this is also in the time where there were the Inquisition burning witches. So, you know, gotta be a little bit careful there. This says, a bewitching novel brimming with peril in a world where a woman's ambition can prove deadly. Don't I know it? Anyways. Then we've got The Book That Broke the World. This one shocked me. Like, look how small this book is. The first book is massive, and this is not. So this is the Lot Library edition. We got the first book in a book box last year. So glad they did the matching sequel. Was unsure if they were going to do so. Don't know how many, I don't know if this is actually going to be a trilogy either, so I'm hoping I'll get the third one. Yes, it is going to be a trilogy. So I can't tell you a lot about this one because I haven't read the first book, but I own 3 editions of the first book. Honestly, I know I've got a problem. Then we've got the stunning broken binding edition of The Fall by Ryan Cahill. These are categorically the most expensive books I buy. They're like £50+ a book, and this is like tiny. So I'm hoping they stay at this much money per book. I have got number 535. They have got obviously this gorgeous cover. They've got protectiveness on them. There's foiling there. There's foiling under the dust jacket. They're signed. They're numbered. There's 1,500 of them. They've got artwork. They've got gilded edges, which are kind of harder to see on this one than they are on the first book, which I have up there, which I'm not getting because it's all the way up there. I love these. They also are like a little present from past me because I order them and then something happens and then it takes them a while to ship them out. But I'm fine with that because it just means like I've paid it off and then I get a present. It's like Kickstarter. Like I've backed 2 Kickstarters and I'm just waiting on them for them to arrive, and that's a present from past me. Like I didn't even pay for them this year. So they're free. Girl math. It's a big thing. Dragon Rider by Taran Matharu, who it took me an embarrassingly long time to realise that the author that wrote this and the author that wrote the Novice series, or whatever they're called, are the same person. But I had to get this. Also had to get the special edition of this because it's ombre sprayed edge. This is an epic new fantasy where dragons fly and empires fall. And I am not reading the full blurb because I'm starting to feel quite parched. I've been talking for a very long time. But Jay perceived this dragon had sensed his fading light, his soul burning out. It had saved him by lending him its own bright light, deemed him worthy and shared its soul with him. He was bonded with this thing. Like, it just sounds so good. So many of these books sound so, actually all of these books sound so good, that's why I have them. I just need to kind of sit down and actually tackle my TBR, which seems to always be growing and never shrinking. We are on to the final 6 books. This one does not have a dust jacket. This is The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. I don't have the dust jacket because I'm reading it, but it's the Waterstones edition and it's very, very pretty. I'm not very far into it. 38 pages, but this is another murder mystery thriller book where this is apparently the final group of humans. I have some thoughts on that, but I'm not going to share them because if they're right, then I don't want them to be spoilers. But basically it shows on this map here, these people live on the island. This is the island, and everyone lives until the age of 60 and then they go to sleep and they never wake up, which I think is a very interesting concept. They are born with this voice inside their head, which almost sounds like AI, which is also very interesting. However, the elders have been alive for like over 300 years. Why do they live so long and why does no one else live that long? I don't know, but it sounds suspicious. And then, yeah, one day they wake up and someone's been murdered. And obviously they're living with the murderer because they're on an island. And they have so many hours until the end of the world. How cool does that sound? Like, it just sounds really, really cool. Sticking with the mystery theme, thriller mystery theme, we have The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. Loved all of her books so far. This woman can do no wrong to me. Yes, it is YA, but this is YA that I read. This is following our main character, who I don't know what her name is. It isn't Rachel, it's her kid. Belle is 18 and her mother disappeared many years ago, and her father says yes to having a documentary made about this disappearance, and her mother just reappears like nothing ever happened. But then it starts to get weird, because of course it does. So I'm looking forward to giving this a go and seeing if I enjoy this as much as I loved the Good Girls Guide to Murder series, which I loved, and 5 Survive, because that was a wild ride, I will say. And then again, YA thriller mystery, One of Us is Back. I've actually read this. I read this in 2 days, which sounds like a long time. But it was pretty much one day that I read it. This is the final book in the One of Us is Lying trilogy, so we are following the same characters in the One of Us is Lying and One of Us is Next series, trilogy, books, whatever. Really enjoyed this. Loved seeing the growth of some of these characters. Ate it up. Was so good. 4 stars. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. But honestly, I really hope these kids leave this place, because it just seems like everyone dies here and it's all just like a never-ending thing. There's a lot of drama that goes on. And then my final 3 books are from my recent trip to Hay-on-Wye, all by the same author, which is Jodi Picoult, and these are her new releases. So I've got the book of Two Ways, which is about a woman who, I don't know. Oh, this is what it is. This lady, main character Dawn, she cares for people at the end of their lives, and she loves her job. She has a husband and a kid, but she finds herself in mortal danger, and the life that flashes before her eyes, that's it, is not actually the one that she has in Boston with her husband and her daughter. It was one that she left behind like 18 years ago, when she was an archaeologist. And she was in Egypt, 15 years ago, sorry, and a man she loved. And when she's safe, Dawn finds herself faced with an unexpected decision: go back home to a world she knows, or try and recapture the world she lost. Because that's what Jodi Picoult does really well. Then we've got Mad Honey, which is written alongside Jennifer Finney Bolan. The body of an 18-year-old girl is found at the bottom of the stairs in her family home. Only 2 people know the truth behind what happened. One of them is dead, the other is your son. And then finally we have got A Spark of Light, which is a lone gunman takes the women and doctors at a controversial abortion clinic hostage. Nobody has ended up there by choice. As the tense negotiation for their release unfolds, hour by crucial hour, back in time through the day that brought the hostages and their captor to this moment, every certainty is questioned, every judgment thrown into sharp relief. Because matters of life and death look very different when you or the ones you love are staring down the barrel of a gun. A powerful, thought-provoking, deeply involving new novel from Jodi Picoult, told in reverse, propelling the reader through intertwining characters and uncovering motives, and in this unflinching exploration of what makes a life. I love Jodi Picoult. I have so many of her books in storage upstairs in the loft. She is one of the few contemporary authors that I actually read, and by few I mean probably the only one that I read, because her books are just so thought-provoking. If you've never read a Jodi Picoult book, I highly recommend, I highly recommend her. Obviously I love fantasy, but I love her books. They are so well researched. I'm now going to go on a Jodi Picoult rant for a couple of minutes, don't mind me. They are so well researched. A lot of them involve court cases. They involve people from all walks of life. My favourites include 19 Minutes, which is following a high school shooting, and it follows a couple of main points of view from that shooting, one of them actually being the gunman, and it flashes back to points before the shooting. So obviously the kid is highly bullied, and I will say the thing that I love so much about that book is that it made me question, was the kid in the wrong? Or were they in the right? Obviously they're never in the right to do the shooting, that's not what I mean. Were their thoughts to them justified? It's such a thought-provoking and emotional read. I've never cried at a book yet, but I feel like if anyone is going to make me cry at a book, it's going to be Jodi Picoult. And then my other favourite one is called House Rules, and the main character from that is, I think he's autistic, and the tutor that he goes to is found dead. And he is put on trial because his DNA and fingerprints are found all through the house. And some of his reasonings are just so unbelievable to me, because that's not how I think, but seeing how they think and the thoughts and the struggles that they go through are all shown in this courtroom. It's such a great read. Absolutely loved it. I could recommend you so many more Jodi Picoult books. The first one I ever read actually was called Sing You Home, which is following a husband and wife who are trying to have a kid. At the very start of the book, their son is born stillborn, and that causes them to get a divorce. Later on in life, the wife comes to the ex-wife comes to the ex-husband asking to, saying that she's going to use the embryos, the other embryos that they froze, because she's in a new relationship, and it sparks a court case, and it's so interesting. So interesting. And he's found God, and he now has different beliefs, and she's in a different relationship that does not gel with his new beliefs. Read the book and you'll find out why. But she's such a good writer. Anyways, those are like the 50+ books that I have hauled since Christmas. Thank you so much if you have sent me any of these books, whether they have been a gift, whether they are a review copy. Thank you so much. Thank you to myself for buying myself so many books, because I'm adding to my own stress. Go me. But if you enjoyed this haul, and I can't imagine how long this video is going to be, please give it a like, it really supports me and my channel. Leave me a comment down below of the last book you hauled. If you are still here, leave me a money emoji in whatever currency, just to show that you're still here and you made it to the end. If you want to see more content from me, please consider subscribing down below, ringing that notification bell. I upload videos. I can't even tell you how often I upload at this point. 1 to 2 times a week. And if you want to see more of me, obviously subscribe. The notification bell is there so you get notified when I upload again. Stick around if you want to see more bookish content from me, but otherwise that is everything for today's video. I need to go get a drink because I am parched, and I will see you in whatever comes next. Bye.